Okay, my role is distinct as a dietitian. Our role is quite important in the management of osteoporosis. Often because people misunderstand that diet is very crucial to preventing osteoporosis. So people often think that the only source of vitamin D is the sun, but they often don't realize that there are a lot of vitamin D sources in the diet. And I mean, people are quite familiar with the calcium aspect, but you need vitamin D in order to absorb calcium. You need vitamin D in order to absorb calcium into the diet. And so this is where our role is distinct. The way that it overlaps. The way that it overlaps, yes, is that identification. Yes. Yes, it's an identification of patients who are at risk of diabetes. Often women, who are scarred, for example, have increased vitamin D requirements because they don't see the sun much. Actually, 1 in 3 Australians are noted to have vitamin D deficiency, and so our role is very, very important. The way that it overlaps is that we the way that it overlaps is often we need to sort of refer patients who we think are at risk. So those who are elderly, women, those who have had fractures, for example, we may need to refer them over to secondary healthcare professionals, and so that's where our role overlaps. Okay.
Alright, you know what, Shireen?
Yeah.
Try all that again without laughing, and now that the camera's still...
Excuse me?
Please.
I can't remember.
Just go. I'm
From
going to leave you
where?
alone. From question 1, because please, we have to do this properly. You're laughing through it. How are we going to present this? It's not as easy as you think. Alright, ready? Look, just stand up and sit down, breathe in and out, and then just, when you're finished, turn it off. Does that sound fair?
I can't remember what I said.
Alright, go. It's rolling now. I'm just going to leave you alone because I just keep laughing. Go now. Go.
Okay, so 3 roles we play in the management of chronic illness and osteoporosis. Well, our primary role is in the prevention of osteoporosis, so identifying patients who are at risk of developing osteoporosis and instituting measures to avoid it from developing further. So, for example, often here in the community we have a lot of people from an African background, a lot of women who are covered, and so it's important that we identify those who, for example, have vitamin D deficiency, and those who are at risk of vitamin D deficiency, and sort of educating them on the correct dietary measures, as well as lifestyle measures to prevent osteoporosis. Our second role is in the treatment of those of osteoporosis. So, for example, we often have patients who have sustained fractures, and so we need to identify where the gaps are in their knowledge on on vitamin D and calcium intake, and modifying and helping them to modify their diet in order to improve their calcium and vitamin D intake. Now, the way that our role is distinct is often in the community people have, they do have a fair awareness on vitamin D deficiency, but they don't realise that that there is a major role in modifying diet in order to improve osteoporosis or to prevent it. People have an understanding that vitamin D deficiency is related to lack of exposure to the sun, but they don't realise that we also gain vitamin D from other dietary sources. So our role is distinct in that it creates awareness that vitamin D deficiency can be modified through diet. The way that it overlaps with other healthcare professionals is that we often have to identify patients who we think are severely at risk of osteoporosis, someone who may have sustained a fracture, particularly in the elderly age group, and referring them over to general practitioners and other healthcare professionals in order to conduct the right assessment to confirm a diagnosis. Okay, so skills that we need to help manage osteoporosis. The first one is in prevention, and in terms of preventing osteoporosis, we need to develop checkpoints in order to identify who may be at risk. So often people over the age of 65, women who are covered, those from certain ethnic backgrounds, are very important in identifying who might be at risk of developing osteoporosis. Challenges we face, often people don't realize the importance of diet in managing osteoporosis. So our primary challenge is in getting across to them that yes, you can modify your diet, and modifying your diet will be a major factor in abating the development of osteoporosis.